Hey, what's up, everybody out there? It's Joey J coming at you. Little Sunday night edition of Little Joey's View. And today, the title is, Black Hats and Bad Guys in Heels and why they're the best. In wrestling, in life, to everything. You know what I mean? Especially in wrestling. You know what I mean? Because if there is no bad guy, you think about it. If there's no bad guy, who would cheer the good guy? You know what I'm saying? That's why I like the bad guys. The bad guys are the best, especially in wrestling. And if you notice, who gets cheered nowadays? The bad guys. Nobody wants to see the happy-go-lucky guys. That's out. That's gay. That's out. Nobody wants to see and kissing fat girls and kissing babies and acting like Joe America. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants that. You know what I mean? And even if they do that, people talk shit about them. In 1986, I started watching wrestling, and I've told this story before. And I just fell in love when Paul Orndorff just straight backstabbed Hulk Hogan, clotheslined him for no reason, just beat him down. Straight up. I love the heels. I love the bad guys. And my two favorite baddest guys ever, the best heels ever in wrestling, Shawn Michaels in 1997 and 1998. I mean, no one could go out there and touch him on the microphone. No, I mean, he would make Bret Hart so mad. I mean, every time they would go behind the curtain, Bret would be like, Shawn, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I mean, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and Triple H is the second greatest heel of all time. I mean, and from 1999 to 2006, I mean, it was Triple H's reign of terror. I mean, he was a sadistic, great villain. And I just love that. I just love that persona. You know what I mean? The bad guy. But then again, the bad guy is always cool. You can't name me one bad guy that ain't cool. In wrestling, in movies, in Boardwalk Empire, Lucky Luciano, my favorite gangster of all time. Al Capone. Cool guys. They're bad, but they're cool. And they got hearts. But they know the working man's a sucker. Straight up. And that's the bottom line. You know what I mean? That's how it is. I mean, can you imagine if I grew up back then? Dude, I'd probably be dead. You know what I'm saying? But like, I would be a legend. I would be a legend, dude. In them bootlegging days, I mean, can you imagine me a boss back then? I mean, look how I just have all the mannerisms of a bad guy. The way I sit, the way I talk, the way I dress, everything. You know what I mean? And that's why in the WWE, in the WWE, Japan, that's where I want to go. I want to go to Tokyo, Japan. Because that's a hotbed for wrestling. I'm thinking about going to Florida really soon. I mean, I'm talking like within like weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like going to Florida and checking out some of the stuff down there and going to Sarasota or Clearwater or Tampa. And check. There's a lot of hotbed indie promotions down in Florida. There is in Maryland too, but Maryland's right around the corner. And 95. All I gotta do is get on 95 and go to Florida. I'm get on a train. You know what I mean? And I know people in Florida. You know what I mean? I got friends in Florida. I got family in Florida. And so, it's no big deal. I can go there anytime I want, And, that's where my career, you know what I mean? To further my career. Now, I can't get in the ring and be a wrestler. I know that. But the bad guys that were making good, I want to get back to that. Shawn Michaels in 1997, when he became that heel character, when Vince McMahon finally said, when they were getting their ass kicked by WCW and they needed somebody, because Hulk Hogan was the biggest heel in WCW. You know what I'm saying? Hulk Hogan. And he was killing it. And he was a good heel. People saying he was the real Triple H, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I mean, remember he had the world title and he'd be like this, like with the guitar playing Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. I mean, he was killing it. You know what I mean? And then he had Hall and Nash with the bandanas backwards, doing the Tupac stuff, doing the West Side stuff. I mean, doing the Mac 10 faux life. Not for life. It's faux life with some flavor. Like Kevin Nash said about Hulk Hogan at one time. Hulk, I know you're good enough. You don't sit around your house and listen to Mac 10 and Tupac. You sit around and listen to Jimi Hendrix and Pink Floyd. You don't sit around and listen to what we listen to. You know what I mean? It's not for life, brother. It's faux life. NWO, for life. Like Mac 10, faux life. Mac 10, faux life. You know what I mean? It's just heels. And Diesel, Kevin Nash. I mean, one of the greatest. even when he's a face, he's a good heel. I mean, he's just got that mannerism as a bad guy. I mean, like I said, he was the first one ever in WWE to flip somebody off. It wasn't Steve Austin. It wasn't the Sandman down at the ECW arena. It was Kevin Nash. He did it to The Undertaker in 1996. He screwed The Undertaker out of the title match with Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble, January 1996. Kevin Nash was known as Diesel then in the WWF, then, now it's the WWE. Looked back at The Undertaker and Paul Bearer and smiled, went like this, waved, and then he went, and he walked to the back. And Vince McMahon, that's when Vince McMahon did play-by-play, and it was Vince, Mr. Perfect, and JR. No, it was Vince, Mr. Perfect, and the King. That's right, because afterwards, Shawn Michaels won that Royal Rumble as a face. The year before, he won 95 and 96, the Royal Rumble. And he was dancing in the ring, you know, and he was dancing, and Mr. Perfect was like, what the hell are you doing, Shawn? You know what I mean? And the year before, he liked Shawn, you know what I mean? Because the year before, 95, Shawn was number 1, the Bulldog was number 2, and they went all the way to the end. How can people say that? That was the one of the 1992 and 1995 were the best Royal Rumbles ever. Ever. 1995 was a horrible year in wrestling, but a lot of the WWE pay-per-views were good. I mean, people talk about WrestleMania 11 being one of the worst WrestleManias. It was, because the main event was Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow. That's why. You know what I mean? If it was Shawn versus Diesel, that was second to last. I mean, come on. Shawn came to the ring with Jenny McCarthy in one arm, with her tomatoes sticking out, you know what I mean? Looking hot as shit. And Diesel, Kevin Nash, came out with Pamela Anderson. And you got Sid there. You know what I mean? Psycho Sid. I mean, and you got a dude from NYPD Blue as the ring announcer. I mean, it was all main event. And then that goes off. And just because Lawrence, the cokehead Taylor's there, he gets the main event. And wrestles Bam Bam Bigelow. And 2 years later gets inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame and says on 60 Minutes, I smoked the rock in the bathroom before I came out here. Yeah, that's a great Hall of Famer. And I'm a Giants fan, too. But I mean, the Eagles are my squad. I'm from Philly. But the Giants are my second favorite team. I mean, and I like Lawrence Taylor. I mean, of all time. You know what I mean? He's one of my favorite all-time players. But I mean, literally admit it. He smoked the rock before he went out and, you know, accepted this award in front of what? This is the old Meadowlands. It's MetLife Stadium now, but this was the old Meadowlands in front of 70, 80,000 people. You know, I mean, to me, that's a scumbag. You know, for real. But getting back, that's a bad guy, though. Is that a bad guy you like? In a way, you know, if he's going to... It's all the way you put being a bad guy. You know, if you just sit back and you're just mean and don't have a flavor to being a heel, then it don't mean nothing. The same thing with being a good guy. I mean, if you're just a good guy and you're going, hey, you know, but you ain't really playing the part, then what kind of good guy are you? You know what I mean? But... being the villain's much more exciting. And I'm just talking about this not just in wrestling and acting. If I was an actor, that's the thing with Heath Ledger. You know what I mean? He really did become the Joker. He really became that character. He really became that evil character. Tupac in Juice. He became Bishop. Read the book. Watch the movie, Tupac. You know what I mean? I remember me and Jackie Gill, my old girlfriend, we watched it at her house in 1990... the end of 1997, going into 1998, we were living. I stayed at her house with her up in Bucks County, right by the Buck Hotel. It was a real cold night. It was just me and her when we were in love, young love. It's great, ain't it? And we sat there and we watched that, and we watched Sleepers too with Brad Pitt. That's a great movie. Robert De Niro, great movie. You know what I mean? And you know. Jason Patrick's in it too. That's a great movie. Great movie, Sleepers. Anybody hasn't seen it, that's a great movie. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. Sleepers, it's a great, great movie. One of the greatest, one of my favorite movies of all time. But I mean, like, Tupac became Bishop. The bad guy is what gets you over. Like Steve Austin, he was always a bad guy. I mean, in WCW, he was stunning Steve Austin. When he first came to WW, in ECW, he really wasn't wrestling. He wrestled like 3 matches, and he was hurt most of the time. He was just cutting promos. And he was really a heel, but he was just making fun of WCW because him and Paul Heyman, they just hated WCW. And what wasn't there to hate? I mean, it was Ted Turner, the liberal fuck that he is. You know what I mean? For real. And a bunch of corporate idiots that didn't know nothing about professional wrestling. And they want to run a Monday night show against Vince McMahon, who knows everything in the world about wrestling, a genius, a wrestling god, and you want to run against him because he's making more money than you. And WCW did do a good job. They got Hogan, they got Mean Gene, they got, you know, I did the Monday night, I did Raw vs. Nitro. I did that whole anthology on this. You can watch the shows. I did 7 shows of it. and they're great. Check them out. They're on this. They're on my channel. Raw vs. Nitro, part 1 to 7. I got them all. You know what I mean? Everyone's good. You know, check it out. Joey G, don't pull no punches, and I don't lie. You know what I'm saying? But the heels are the best. Jake the Snake was one that just had that look, and you know the thing about Jake the Snake, and I'm gonna get on to another one in a second. It was a great heel. Another two, you know, before I end this. But real quick, these heels, Jake the Snake just had that look. Them eyes, the snake, especially when he had that little King Cobra and a bit Jake the Snake or bit Randy Savage. That was great. I can remember that. I was in, I think, what was that, 92? Yeah, it was when Savage lost his career in 91. That was 92, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it was the end of 91. So I was, the beginning of freshman year. Damn, 1991. In the beginning of freshman year, I went to Doherty. And I remember the Cobra biting Jake the Snake on the thing. And Roddy Piper and Vince McMahon were doing commentary. And Jake the Snake was in the ring, and he said something. And Savage was retired because he lost the retirement match to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7 that year. And Savage came to the ring, and Vince and Roddy Piper were like, "Don't do it, Randy, don't do it." And he went after Jake the Snake, and he had his Macho Man cowboy boots on, and then he slipped, and remember, he was laying against the thing like this, and the King Cobra bit him, and it bit him in the arm, and they were saying it was devenomized, and I saw a story on the internet, and it was, Lanny Poffo was talking about it on the way over. You know, him and Elizabeth was saying she didn't want Randy to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, the snake's devenomized. And Lanny Poffo said I was acting like I was sleeping. Now, he was in the back seat. You all know Lanny Poffo is Randy Savage's brother. You know, the Macho Man, God rest your soul, Randy Savage, the greatest of all time. One of the greatest of all time, God rest your soul. He was acting like he was sleeping, you know, because I watched the story on him. And he said, "What do you think, brother? What do you think?" You know, and Lanny Poffo was just like, you know, that's up to you, Randy. You know, it's your career. It's up to you. You know, if you want to do it, do it. Elizabeth and Randy were married at the time, but thanks to Hulk Hogan, they were on shaky terms because Hulk Hogan's a scumbag. And Hulk Hogan was trying to, you know, tell Elizabeth she needs to get out more. And then what happened? Elizabeth ended up dead in Lex Luger's house. So, Hulk, thank you, Hulk Hogan. Your son crippled another kid. Your daughter was trying to make it in singing, and she was an innocent girl. Now she just looks like a filthy slut. I mean, seriously. You're a great guy, though, Hulk Hogan. You're just American-made, brother. You're just, you know, you are Hulk Hogan. You are one of the greatest attractions of all time in professional wrestling. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be WWE. There wouldn't have been a WCW. There wouldn't have been a Monday Night War. I'll give you that, Hogan. But deep down, you're a mark. You're a scumbag. You're all for yourself. You're all for Hulkamania. You never wanted to die. You'll be 80 years old coming out in a wheelchair going, brother, 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 brother. Like Shawn Michaels' image. That's the Shawn Michaels I like. The heel that's like that. That's the real Shawn Michaels. Remember in 2005, he came back and he was the real HBK and he started really doing it and he was like, it's pretty quiet in here, isn't it? He's like, because I'm doing things out here that we ain't supposed to do. Because Shawn Michaels was real. If he would tell Vince McMahon, "Fuck you, Vince, I ain't doing it." And Vince even said, I would take things from Shawn that I wouldn't take from Hulk Hogan. Shawn would walk in here and tell me to F off. Shawn would come in here and tell me to do this, do that. I'm not doing this. He's like, but at the end of the day, Shawn was a businessman. He would do it. Even if he didn't like it, he would do it. But most of the time, Shawn got his way because Vince liked him. And plus, I think Vince goes both ways anyway. I think Vince is half fag anyway. I'm just being serious. You read stories about it. It was on Phil Donahue. It was on YouTube. Look it up on YouTube. We all know Pat Patterson's gay. You know what I mean? So, I'm just saying. And another two quick, great heels. Mr. Perfect. Kurt Hennig. One of my favorites of all time. A great heel. Ravishing Rick Rude. Ravishing Rick Rude was a great heel. Remember, before WCW got real bad at the end, he just went up. It was so cool. He went up to the Nitro stand and just made Bobby Heenan, Tony Schiavone, and Mike Tenay put their hands over their mouth like this. And he was like, "Don't talk." Remember, they were like this. And Bobby Heenan was trying to be friends with Rick Rude because, he used to manage him in WWE. It's just the heels, the bad guys, the black hats, they make the business, they make life, they make it all cool. For real, they do. Guys like me are still going to be here. Politicians, guys, good guys, they come and go. Businessmen, bosses, they're here to stay. And Joey G is here to stay. And I'm here, and I'll be back tomorrow night for the Raw preview. This is Joey G, and I'm out. Peace.